Hello and welcome to a very special, exciting episode of Gotham Sound TV. I am here in studio with Doc Justice of Halter Tech. Doc, it is really good to have you here.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate it very much. Happy to be here in New York.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm truly, this is an exciting thing. Before we talk about the exciting thing, Doc, you're going to hit publish on your website.
Yes. We are literally going to launch this together right now. Publishing, and hopefully if you go on haltertechnical.com, you will now see a new menu item showing our brand new product, which is called WildTrax.
Let's get into it.
WildTrax.
What is WildTrax?
So WildTrax is a new software-based multi-track audio recording platform. We say platform because it will be composed of multiple products. The first, which is live right now, is the WildTrax recording engine. This is software capable of recording up to 512 tracks of audio, complete with metadata, synced to timecode, in a package that offers flexibility, customizability, and power that haven't been seen before. So we are taking control and giving it to the users.
So let's get into some of these details.
Yeah.
Recording software.
Recording software.
Audio recording software.
Mac OS based.
Mac OS based specifically for film and television.
Yes, this is not another digital audio workstation built for music that's been recoded.
Right. We're not talking about like virtual sound check stuff. This is really to use on a set.
This is for us by us. This is literally for audio for video. There are other applications that it would be helpful in, but this is built for us because we need it and we deserve it.
Okay. I'm going to pause before we get into it and just say we are live and we are here to answer questions. We're here to describe what Doc has created.
And show it.
But if you guys ask questions, if you folks ask questions, we will see them in the chat and we will get to them. Okay. So,
and if I could add on to that.
Yes, of course.
You can also download it right now. So as you have questions, feel free to go to haltertechnical.com, download WildTrax. You can get the free demo version right away and start playing around with it and follow along with us.
All right. And broadly speaking, just for this live stream, we will talk about the features of the software. And then you and I have a unique history with recording software for film and TV. And we'll talk more broadly about what it means to record on a computer. First comment we see, KG or YJ, sorry, without glasses, this is actually challenging. No Windows, it is Mac only. Okay, so when I think recording software for film and TV, the first thing I think about is scene and take and time code. So let's get into it.
Yes. So should we show it off?
Let's show it off. Yes.
Let's show it. So I have on my screen here, WildTrax, and this is the main interface. So looking at the main UI, you'll see at the top your transport controls, your project info view with current scene, take, slate, take, and roll number. You'll see the time code that's being input. Right now we are connected through Dante Virtual Sound Card. So we're sending time code over that, and as well as both of our live mics. You can see the meter bouncing as I speak in the tracks panel here.
Yes.
But everything is divided up into panels. I have 3 panels showing: my metadata panel here on the left, a files panel, and tracks panel here. And we'll get into what the panels mean and do and how you can customize this screen and how you can really customize your own experience as you set all the files that you want to record too. But yes, metadata is at the forefront of everything that WildTrax does. Not only does it embed all of the metadata baked right into the audio file, but it also creates sound reports per folder. If you have different folders with different files set, it will automatically create sound reports. You can have them auto-generate. You can manually save them. But being able to reliably bake all of that metadata into the file and the sound report is at the heart of WildTrax.
Awesome. And so from Post's perspective, this should look or feel no differently than any workflow they might be used to with, any of the existing hardware recorders.
Correct, with the exception of the fact that we add more on top of it. So the WildTrax recording engine writes wave files in an RF64 wrapper, which is the same thing as B-wave, broadcast wave files, but it also allows for more channels of audio and more metadata, so we will give them all of the information that they're used to, plus you have the option of passing along a lot more info.
And we have a relevant question,
yes.
Which is polywave only, or do you also have the option of doing monos?
You have the option, not only do you have the option of choosing between polyphonic and monophonic files, but you can record both simultaneously in different folders or in the same folder, in different destinations. You can arrange the audio however you need it specifically for that file. If you want to just record a left and right stereo mix as one file that goes into a Dropbox automatically, you can do that. You can have all of your tracks except for one go to another file, and then all of the tracks combine, and they can be a combination of poly and mono.
Great. So full flexibility there.
Yes.
Good.
All right. Yeah. And we'll go over that too.
Keep showing us that gorgeous UI.
All right. So this button here, this is the panel selector, and you'll see it is in every different panel. And by clicking that, you can choose which window goes in each panel. So if I wanted all of my tracks in this panel, and you can see you can have multiple panels be identical, so you can move things around as needed. But let me go to my input matrix. Let's start off with the first thing we did was in preferences, we selected our Dante virtual sound card as the device, right? Mm-hmm. Let's open that up. So we selected in the device, we were able to select our Dante virtual sound card and our sample rate. We also have control over the buffer size. This is the info that the device is sending WildTrax. We also set our time code, which we are at 30 frames per second, non-drop. We are receiving that over SMPTE, and right now I have the time code manually.
Yeah. Okay, I was going to say, and this is live.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
I set up our time code source at 2398.
Hey, I was told differently. So, let's change it.
All right. Sorry, Doc.
Yeah.
Now, but that is a question I have because there are times where you want to cross jam. So can it auto recognize the frame rate? Do you always have to specify?
It does not auto detect frame rate. It auto detects incoming time code. So I will manually set that to 2398.
Copy.
I also have this selected for manual LTC channel, but if I did not, it would auto detect it. I'm just telling it which channel is it is coming through right now.
Yeah, and I did test the auto detect, and it worked well yesterday.
Yes, great.
And we should mention to people, just in terms of our workflow here, we are sending time code down the Dante, it just as from a Dante endpoint. So it's just another thing that you can pick off.
Yeah, that's very typical, I feel like, to send time code down the Dante stream. and there are many ways of ingesting that timecode into the computer. If you put it directly in to the USB via USB dongle or something, you can just create an aggregate device with the Dante virtual sound card and the incoming.
And I want to get to that. Yeah, we'll get to the pitfalls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the second half, I love these questions.
Yeah.
Hardware controller integration, companion module, perhaps. I know we talked offline about that, but what's the horizon?
To which I'll say we should back up a moment here.
Sure.
One of the things that we need to make clear is that as a platform, WildTrax is a living and breathing platform. This is a platform that will be updated based on user feedback, based on time allowed for us to actually implement these features, but it is a subscription platform that people can sign up for based on the number of channels they're using, and the tiers also unlock more features, and this will allow us to integrate more and more third-party hardware, APIs, all of these things that will be added in the future. So currently, for third-party hardware, we support keyboard shortcuts. We will include, on the roadmap are things like Stream Deck compatibility and things like that.
Great.
So, yes.
All right, that's great to know, and I think that subscription models. There is some controversy around that, but I think one very important justification for a subscription model is that it funds keeping the product current as hardware changes, and also funds new features.
That's exactly right. We have a dedicated team of development that have not only poured their heart and soul into this platform as is, but will continue to. And that the subscription makes that happen.
And so I do love these suggestions and questions coming in, metadata syncing with third party. Like you can imagine ambient, like having a module for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love all of that. And I think keep those suggestions coming so that they can be.
So not only will we take suggestions and feedback directly right now, for example, but the Facebook group is either live. I don't know if I hit live on that yet.
Fair.
But there is a Facebook users group for people to talk about how they're using it, put in feature requests, find bugs, and generally tell me how much they love me.
That's good, and well deserved. This is very exciting. One of the other questions about MP3, I'm going to say it does not do MP3. Am I right?
Not at the moment. That's probably that is a coming very soon feature. Okay. But yes, right now it records to RF64.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep going down this path of what it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive a little bit, and I'll say, like, when I get a new recorder,
yes,
that's what this is. I need to know how to jam timecode, so we did that.
Yes.
Now I need to know how to enter metadata. So how do I do that?
Well, before that, you would want to patch your input.
Fair. Yes. Let's actually, because this could be anything to anything.
Can be anything to anything.
So we said our device is Dante Virtual Sound Card.
Yes.
Now we got to tell it.
And you and I have already patched the Dante controller matrix. So in WildTrax itself, you have your own input matrix. You'll see at the top all of the Dante channels coming through. And here are all of my tracks. Now, as we said, this supports up to 512 tracks. You can add in up to that number and then patch easily one-to-one, or patching multiple inputs at a time, but you'll want to patch those inputs first.
Now, when you patch, does that automatically record enable it? How does that work? Okay.
So that will auto arm the tracks. So for example, even though I have time code unarmed right now, disarmed, unarmed, what would you say?
I would say disarmed.
Disarmed? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then I'll say unarmed. Yeah, so I have that patched. So if I unpatch that, dispatch that, unpatch that, you'll see the meter go away for timecode. When I patch it back in, it's now automatically armed. So it does auto arm things. If I don't want to arm that track, I can just disarm that there. So we have our inputs patched. We see our lovely meters bouncing, and we have our metadata panel up here. So there are different ways to view this metadata panel. By default, you see it's split between current and next. Current being the take that you are about to record or that is currently being recorded, and next being the one after that. Now, if you don't want to view the next, you can just drag this all the way over and be just using current. And then you can use your tabs if you'd like, or you can view it as a split view. You can toggle that to be vertical, especially if you put the metadata panel over here.
And we
have split views. So
we were talking about how you can even sort of set it up so that individual windows can be moved to a different screen.
Yes, we have, not only do you have these panels here, in the main menu bar, there is a window menu that will also bring up a new window, totally on a new desktop, because I'm full screen. And then you can use this window either side by side with your existing window or drag this off for dual monitors. So if you wanted to have your tracks take up an entire monitor display, you can, which is particularly helpful if you have lots and lots of tracks.
You know, we did the system for Prairie Home Companion, and Nick Houston went out to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were using software that no longer is current, which we'll talk about later.
Sure.
But the meter window was helpful not just for the recordist, but also the front of house mixer enjoyed having his own window.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just as like a meter bridge.
Right. That totally makes sense.
There's all kinds of uses that you can sort of come up with thanks to a flexible framework.
Yeah, and we also have, I should mention, the responsive UI. You know, the meters scale to your window as well. So if you're looking at lots of tracks or very few tracks, you can still see as many tracks as you can fit. And I'll get into examples of showing, you know, dozens and dozens and hundreds of tracks and what that looks like as well. But we're talking about metadata, so let's keep talking about it.
Sure.
The metadata here, we have our project name. Right now it's set to WildTrax, but if we're going to change that to our show name, let's call it Gotham Sound right now. You'll see it also changed in the project info view, which is just a nice thing to have on set with your show at the top of it. Now, all of these fields are editable. There are also these icons next to the slate, take, and roll. These are auto increment. So right now I have my take number set to auto increment, which after I record take 1, it will move to take 2, etc. You can turn that off if you'd like. You can also, this icon here will reset the take as soon as the scene is changed. If you don't want it to do that, turn that off. If you want any of these others to follow that behavior, you have that option as well. In the notes, not only can you type in any notes that might be helpful for post, but you can also add in time code notes for that.
What do you mean by that? Like, will it
So
grab
this
the
time
current
code will grab the immediate time code,
Wow.
excuse me,
Yeah.
and make a note, which is very helpful. We have one of our beta testing members records a podcast and is constantly making time-coded notes, and then uses that sound report exported into Pro Tools.
Yep.
With the markers already set in Pro Tools so that he can just make those edits using that time code,
Like if
and not have to find it.
If somebody, hits a mic or something, they can make a note. And
any of the,
back.
plosives or extraneous noises.
Really, really clever. I can see foot pedal integration coming up.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Well, okay, so the dad joke I was going to make was I never metadata I didn't like.
Hey.
But anyways, it's a really
data.
Cool
I hardly know it.
Now, false take. Can we do?
Yes. So in the transport controls up top, you have as simple as it could be your record button, which not only enables record, but puts up this nice glowing screen to show you that you are in record.
That red frame.
Yeah, you can. It is a preference setting to be able to tap the record button a second time, and that will start a new take. Or you can disable that, and it just won't do anything. But to the left of that, you have your false start and your stop recording buttons. False start does what we expect its behavior to. It appends an FS to the file name, and then it resets all of the metadata so that you are still on that current take. It doesn't advance the take.
Copy.
I will stop the recording here.
And can you, this is a great question, can you customize the available metadata field? So if you presumably didn't want to call something scene, can you make it say something else?
I like that idea. I haven't heard that suggestion yet.
It opens it up. We've installed
That's kind of cool.
these kind of software recording systems in like call centers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where scene had no real meaning, but other fields did.
Yeah, there's without getting too much into the technical weeds, the IXML chunk has specific standards for certain metadata fields. Enabling or disabling those fields is a possibility. Renaming those fields is something to look into. I think that's a cool idea.
And the X stands for extensible, so you can always add. Yeah.
Right.
Great question. Okay. There's a window that I don't think we've shown our viewers yet, which is the FFT window, the spectrum.
Yes,
analyzer.
so we have a spectrum analyzer. Let's pull that up right in this guy here. And so this is real-time spectral analysis. You're currently looking at your microphone.
Yeah, that must be my microphone. Yep.
And it is.
You can change that, by the way.
Not only can you change it, but again, we can have multiple instances of panels going. So I can have my microphone over here in this panel, and yours here. And this is for those unfamiliar with the use case for this, but this is a great way to troubleshoot problems, especially if you are EQing out things. Like I loved to know where the wind was hitting my microphone and be able to EQ out wind without touching any of the dialogue, know that I was non-destructive EQing.
Or, like a noise, a hum on set, or,
being able to find those notches.
Back in my day, the HMI ballast.
Right.
Yeah,
those 60 cycle hums.
Yeah.
And again, you can also put this in its own window. One user loves to he has a cute little separate monitor that he just drags the spectrum analyzer to to always see his.
I mean, for the producers that look over the sound mixer's shoulder, it's definitely good bling.
They love lights and flashy things.
But it has genuine practical
it does
applications.
It does.
For sure. I appreciate John Paul Golaski's comment about I definitely need a Mac Mini on the cart now. Agreed. I did hear some funny stuff.
Have you seen the new Mac Mini?
Well, the new Mac Mini is ridiculous. Yeah, I know. They're so ridiculous. I did hear some funny stuff. It's not so easy to mod for 12 volts, the new Mac Mini. I just bought one so we can...
I would imagine it's the size of a old adapter brick.
We just bought one, so we'll sort of try for ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't like trying for other people. Just the liability is too much.
But so this brings up a good point. The Mac Minis, being $600 and being so small, that makes between the Mac Mini and WildTrax, that makes this just a completely easy and inexpensive, viable backup system to your existing cart, particularly if you're already running a networked cart. If it's got Dante on it already, then you literally are just plugging that computer in and you have a full backup to your existing.
All of your tracks.
All of your
and
tracks.
your mixed
No compromise.
In a separate subsystem.
Yes.
Yes. Like without getting too much into the weeds of what it means
of secondary.
Yeah. But I think I think it's a great thing, and even those new MacBook Airs, which I always stayed away, and I want to get into that in sort of.
That's what
soon.
We're on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think like traditionally the MacBook Airs kind of throttled performance.
They did,
but there's so much headroom in the new M4 Mac Airs. It's kind of ridiculous.
Let me expand on that one moment.
Sure.
There are 2 versions of WildTrax available for download. One is optimized for Apple Silicon for the M1, M2, M3, M4 chips, and there is a universal binary that will work with either the Apple Silicon or the older Intel processors. So it's not necessary to have an Apple Silicon computer, but there is a version that is optimized for that.
All right. I think this is a good jumping off point to talk in general about what it means to record on a computer.
Yeah.
Now, I think you and I started on some of the earliest versions of Metacorder.
Yeah.
And those were I mean, we talked briefly, but I'll just share.
Yeah.
For me, they were painful. Moments of learning, and I come from a computer background.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like I understand, what's going on under the hood, and there were still just, very painful moments. I think in general, what we should say, and the way we should frame this, is that this recording software acts like a traffic cop for data. So audio data goes into the traffic circle.
Yeah.
And if it can't get to the final file place, that traffic circle is going to get backed up and you're going to lose data.
I like that explanation.
And so to that end, for those that are contemplating this, and my first question is, if people are contemplating this, do you consider this final release? Do you consider this beta? Where are we?
This is, we have been testing. We tested alphas, betas, many versions. This is do they still call it Gold Master? Am I dating myself? This is the final 1.0.0 release. We are implementing fixes and adding features routinely. So by the time I finish this sentence, there might be a 1.0.1 out.
Sure.
But yes, this is ready for the world.
Having said that, people have an opportunity to download and test before deploying and really test.
Yeah. Like I said, the demo version so the full version is free to download. You'll set up an account to unlock the tier that is right for you. But right away, you can set it up on your network, see your tracks coming in. The demo allows you to record up to 2 tracks, but you can set up the whole thing and see the flow of everything right away.
And the subscription model is, let's say they want to test 200 tracks.
Yeah.
The most that they would have to sort of put up would be 1 month.
Yes, this is a monthly subscription. This is not an annual subscription. So users can feel free to jump on and off as they have the work that requires it or not. So there's no commitment to it. And let's talk pricing because we haven't mentioned it yet.
Yes.
But so the demo tier, 2 tracks, free to start. The basic version records up to 8 tracks and is $10 a month. The essential tier is 32 tracks, and that is $30 a month. And then the full versioned pro tier with everything unlocked at 512 tracks is $75 a month.
And so I can jump up and down tiers as needed.
Upgrade, downgrade easily as needed.
It seems very reasonable. I have to apologize to our audience and to Jared because I'm making Jared's editing life very difficult. I want to jump back. People are keeping me on point. How do you monitor?
Yeah.
How do you listen to the software?
So right now,
yeah,
there are no output capabilities built into the software.
Got it.
So how do you monitor? You pull up a file and listen to it based off of your existing speakers or other hardware plugged in. Full playback and output capabilities are coming.
Okay. I think that's interesting, and it's funny that I kind of skip that in my thought process because it's pretty, like thinking of my uses of Metacorder and Boom Recorder, which are the predecessors. And I really, that's how I sort of checked it. And it's
it's a file bucket, right?
I checked it by playing the files back.
Right.
I think, philosophically, so the last couple of years I've been recording a lot of music. I won't torture people with my Ike Riley adventures. But, that's the first thing when I show this to a front of house person, this kind of software is they're like, where's the waveform?
Yeah.
And this is a very, very different workflow.
Let's come back to not that front of house people won't find ways to appreciate this, but this is built for us.
Right. And I do think, I'm glad that you have routing a track for playing back on your roadmap. Yeah. Because it is nice. Even if I was forced to route it to the same device that is incoming, I can pick a Dante channel and route it back to my main mixer, for example.
Yep.
And just check on a track. But the truth is, that is the software kind of directing incoming bits to the output. It is not verification that the file is correct.
That's exactly right. We trust that what we're listening to is what is actually hitting that file. But playing back a file is the only way to verify.
Is the only way and bring it up. No, I mean, there were many sleepless nights.
No,
I mean, there were many sleepless nights in the beginning of file recording on sets of lining up 2 different recorders and figuring out if they drifted because one dropped samples and stuff.
Yeah.
And when we started, hard drives were not as fast as they are now. We take for granted how SSDs
on those prior software, write speeds were that was probably the biggest bottleneck of those software platforms because the hard drives of the internal computers were slow. USB 1.0, 1.1 was slow. External drives were painfully slow. Thankfully now we have SSDs and Thunderbolt, and write speeds are generally not an issue.
Right, and I think it is helpful to think still about that traffic circle and the traffic cop that's got to direct all those data.
In our, going back to the interface here, in the tracks panel, you will see a ring buffer. And this ring buffer will show that if you have a pre-roll set, and that is all customizable, it will show the pre-roll being written to the buffer, to that ring buffer. And as you record, you will see how that buffer writes to the files.
And so if you ever see that ring buffer go back on itself.
Well, that's something that that won't happen with our platform. That happened in the past because of the way that we write files. So we are writing files as they're being recorded. It is being dumped to the file in real time. It's not like when we had to press stop and then it would finalize the file and close it, write to it and close it. All of that is being written as we go. So,
all right. I mean, I am cautiously optimistic.
Please.
I am.
Skepticism is good.
I am just sort of like having been through so many disasters. One question I have under the hood, like, does the software close the WAV file? Because it's still a WAV file. Like, does it close it periodically? Is it constantly closing it? Like,
it doesn't need to close anymore.
Okay.
That process doesn't happen. The underlying engine, we'll get into it a little bit. FFmpeg is our encoder. You can see all of this in the manual. It's all available to peruse. But the finalizing of a file, the closing of the file, doesn't happen anymore.
And the ultimate scare is I'm on a Mac Mini, meaning no battery, and no UPS anywhere, and somebody finds my plug and they need to charge their phone, so they just pull the power on my Mac Mini. In the middle of recording. How much data have I lost?
That is a good question. I can't answer that specifically because I don't know. But what I can tell you is you have not lost the file. You have not lost everything. You probably have lost up to what the pre-roll contained. So you probably lost your last 5 seconds, 10 seconds at worst.
And I give that as an example of, because I want our customers to think about, what this is.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, and this is not like nobody's going to take this over their shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't think. I hope not. This is not what that's about.
Yeah.
And it is a computer. Jared, if you can do me a favor, that link I sent to the DigiDesign sort of like best practices for optimizing a system. This was something that guided us. If you put that in the chat, sorry, Jared. This is something, there it is, that guided us in those early days of, how do you take a computer and make it into something that's optimized for real time?
Yeah, I do want to also remind everyone that all recorders are computers right now.
Yes.
We are no longer in the days of analog recording, so there is a brain behind all of our recorders right now. So the big difference is that if you look at our computers as the recorder, they are capable of other tasks, and other tasks are happening along with the recording. That doesn't happen on dedicated hardware, right? So yes, we've gone through the painstaking processes of optimizing our hardware, making sure it is not sleeping your computer unnecessarily, not running open processes unnecessarily. We've really made sure that it is lightweight as can be and not taxing on the memory, on the CPU.
Right.
But there are definitely best practices to follow.
Right, and that's where that Digi is sort of helpful, that document. And yeah, I see, disable time machine, turn off spotlight indexing. I think that's all, and energy saver stuff that you were talking about. Because, the temptation is to take your daily driver computer and throw it on your cart.
Yes.
But your daily driver computer probably is like looking for Bluetooth devices.
Yeah, and that's all okay.
It makes me so nervous. Like I would caution, like professional use is professional use.
That's exactly where I was going with it. Is like that's all okay, depending on your situation, depending on your scenario. As professionals, on set, we're paid for our professionalism, our expertise, and our knowledge, and our dedication. So we need dedicated tools. So if you are going to use it in a professional setting and need a dedicated tool, dedicate your tool.
Right. Yeah.
That sounds gross.
Well, yeah, no, it's sage advice. I think because we've, I think, and a lot of our audience, lived through those early days. Not just computer recording in our case, but also the early days of file recording. I will confess, I've had to ask a video playback operator to play me back the last tape because my PD6 died.
Yeah.
It's the whole idea of having a backup that is capable of recording all of your tracks on your cart for a reasonable fee.
Exactly.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And there are those that will use this on large reality shows as their primary recorder.
Yep.
Personally, I would have two.
Yep.
That's
many of our users do.
Yeah. Or a hardware recorder and a software recorder.
Absolutely.
And the UI on the software recorder is so much friendlier.
Yeah.
That the hardware recorder takes more of a backup role in that case. But
either way,
having a choice that is current and modern and
supported,
future, looks towards the future.
Yeah.
Is really wonderful.
The way I approach all Halter Technical products, and anybody who's ever used one of our products or anybody who knows me personally, I hope can attest to this. But the way I look at any product is the product is my brainchild, my baby, and then I put it out into the world and it is no longer mine, it is yours. And I'm not saying that, I know that sounds cheesy, but now that this is out there, the users are going to dictate its future. The users are going to tell us what features they prioritize, how they're using it. They will come up with ways that we haven't dreamed of to use it. So that feedback is essential to its development.
I imagine, now we're just sort of talking generally.
Yeah.
It's all very personal. Like this is something you're giving birth to the community.
Yeah, very much.
In a way. And it's a two-part question. One, how do you kind of create a firewall so that when people have issues with the product, you don't take that personally?
Yeah.
And then, how is it different for Halter Tech kind of pivoting towards software?
Yeah, that's a big step for us. So we'll start with the first question. How do I take things, keep them on a business, never personal level? Because truthfully, maybe I'm an odd duck, but it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what people think of me personally. It doesn't matter what they think of the products. It matters, does it solve a problem for them? And are there ways to improve it so that it solves more problems or solves a problem better or more efficiently? I guess I don't care. I don't care. If you want to badmouth, me separately, that's fine. If you want to badmouth the products, that's fine too. Yeah. But as long as I'm able to take something constructive away from it and use it, then I benefit from that feedback no matter what it is. Now the pivot to software is a big pivot. It's not. This is not a pivot. We're still a headphone company. We still make and sell headphones and headsets for on-set use. Mm-hmm. The new Pico IFB headset is a month old, if that.
which we're big fans of.
Yes, which I'm thankful for. So this is just an extension of that. I have always looked to make products that better the community. Like I'm a part of this community, right? I'm a sound mixer, audio supervisor. I currently don't work on set, but it doesn't mean it's left my heart or my experience. Yeah. So like the community and the industry means a lot to me. And I've always felt like if I can serve the community with good products and the products that are needed, then it'll all come back to me in the end. But I'm making things like this is just something I wish I had available to me on a lot of those large-scale reality shows I was working on. I wanted flexibility and customizability, and I, used the tools I had available, which were great. I'm not knocking any of those tools. I really think Metacorder was, Gallery gets credit for inventing metadata and giving...
I mean, literally.
Literally inventing metadata and giving us the ability to bake that info into files. So I have thousands of hours of experience on those software platforms, and they were great. And this is the next evolution. This is the next step. So I'm proud to bring that to the community.
Yes. Okay, I'm just going to clear up some questions. Yeah, we currently use a 970 black box and boom recorder for large channel count shows. Yeah, and glad to see Mickey's definitely going to be testing this. No, this is people seem to like it. Please, we're sort of like heading towards the end of the live stream, so get your questions in, get your concerns in.
I do want to show off one more panel that we only touched upon that I think is very important, and that is our files panel here. This files panel is, you can think of it like your export options. So I currently am set to record one file that is a polyphonic file with literally just both of our tracks, all of our tracks right now. I am not recording time code to an audio track, though we could. You can arm the tracks, select which tracks go to each file, have a simple poly mono switch. This Dropbox here, currently we only record in RF64, but this is where MP3 will go and other wrappers as people request them. And we can record to multiple folders and have multiple files. And set things like, do we want auto arm on? Do we want these files to split? We have customization over our splitting, whereas, the older broadcast wave format had a 2 gigabyte file limit. RF64 is not limited to that. So if you wanted to roll a single file for a full day, you can. Or if you wanted to limit it to that 2 gig limit or another arbitrary limit, you can. You can also have it go by a time duration. So if you wanted it to have a file for every half hour, 10 minutes,
that's
whatever you need, or a combination of both.
This is to inspire anybody watching, but this would have come in really, really handy. How can I say this without violating any NDA? There is a Swedish streaming platform that bought a well-known podcast company, and in their studios, they wanted a recorder backing up all of the Pro Tools sessions in all of the different studios.
Yeah.
So that way, if an individual interview ever, the Pro Tools system crashed in that studio, there was a central backup, literally in a closet in the middle of the, space. And, breaking it up into like 1 hour chunks would have been
very helpful
for them. Yeah, to find something.
Yeah, I just spoke with a music engineer in the UK who does, he mostly does live work, does a lot of festivals, but does studio work as well. And he was very interested in, very similar to what you're saying, interested in the ability to just set record on WildTrax in the studio, and those, quote, moments of genius that just happen while strumming the guitar or whatever, that is always being captured.
Right.
So similarly, setting those file breaks would be helpful for him too.
Yeah, no, it's you know, once you sort of have a platform and you build in the hooks, it's up to our imagination.
That's what I love about it. I love hearing the ways people use it and will use it that I haven't thought of. Yeah.
Well, I think we're coming to a close.
Great.
Any last minute questions? Are people still with us? This is available now. And yeah, Doc, thank you so much for premiering it here. If you want to check it out in person, you will be at the Gotham Expo, which is this Saturday. There's links we'll put in the description, but it'll be at the IATSE 52 Hall, sort of at the end of Steinway. We got one last minute question. Can you record to multiple identical files on different media drives at the same time? I think you did cover that.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely you can. You can set as many different destinations as you'd like. There's no file limit. You can have it record to your internal drive and external drive and go straight to a cloud device all at the same time.
And just my own curiosity, what does the file name actually look like, and can you customize that?
The file, so let's pull it up, because we, if you'll give me one thing,
again.
We did not.
We're going to have to edit this.
We also did not look at the sound report.
Oh, we should totally do that.
Yeah, the sound report files. So if I go to my sound report panel, I will see the the one folder that I'm currently recording to. I was recording the two earlier, but we did hit record for a moment and recorded a file. So you can see all of the metadata here, and this is editable. The track names themselves are not editable, but you can edit things like the take and the roll. So if you need to go back to any prior file, you can edit that metadata right within the app itself.
What do you mean that track names aren't editable?
Right now, you cannot go back to prior files and edit those older takes.
If I had somebody, if I had Joe wired, and I had Joe named on a track, and then I forgot I switched Joe's wire out for Nick.
Yeah,
right now I can't change that.
Correct.
In the future?
Not yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at one of the files. So I recorded in this folder here, and I recorded to my poly. So it shows up, your audio file here, and the sound report, which is going to open Apple Numbers, complete with my info here, and the sound report appears exactly as you'd expect it to, with all of the info that Post is used to.
And so right now that's where you'd add a note and say, oh, I swapped out Joe's wire for Nick or something like that.
Yeah, you can always go into the sound report itself and edit your spreadsheets. But within the app itself, you can only edit this metadata here.
And in terms of file name customization?
So that is under our files. The customization here, right now, you'll see this is our file name. If you toggle this ABC button, this toggles between token view and name view. So this is how you will set your file names. You can add in any custom text you want, any hard-coded, as we call it, text, or add in any of these tokens, and it will translate the scene name, take name.
And so for those workflows that want to have very specific naming sort of rubrics where it's episode number or something like that, you can...
Yep, you can move the tokens around, type it in exactly how you want those naming conventions.
Fantastic. Okay, so Dan's question, when is Halter Tech buying Aton? Since you guys are expanding, we'll just leave that there.
No, I'll comment one thing on it. Part of the inspiration for this was the fact that that we are now limited in choices of recorders if you want to record more than 32 channels. If you want to record more than 32 channels of audio with metadata and timecode, there aren't that many currently supported options, especially since Aton, went under.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that this is an option for that.
That's a great answer. Mickey's question, any thoughts on developing a modern predecessor to Wave Agent, which could be a companion to WildTrax?
Essentially, we're building in all of those features that Wave Agent did have. They're all being built into WildTrax.
Well,
so currently we have the metadata entry, but all of the other features like being able to split out monophonic files from polyphonic, all of that is coming.
Here's my argument in favor, because it could also be a playback engine, like a quick and dirty playback engine.
And it's all coming.
Good. Okay.
It's all coming. Like I said, this is the community's now. So they tell us the direction they want it to go in. We have our ideas for what's coming in the future. There will be updates routinely, regularly. This is as great as the product is right now, and I truly love it. I can say that as the proprietor of it, but also as a user of it. Like, I love this platform, but this is the worst it's ever going to be.
Okay, that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
I like this question because I think it frames what WildTrax is. Does WildTrax generate timecode?
Yes. So in the timecode settings, you have different options of you can use your system's timecode. So it will take time of day.
To be fair, it's not going to output LTC.
It does not output LTC. It generates it for itself, for its own use.
Yep.
So time of day, session run, so started at 0. You can do like a record run, or you can input timecode through LTC. Yeah.
Very, very cool. I think that's cool stuff, Doc, is the great way to end this. Cool stuff, Doc.
Appreciate it. I'm very anxious for people to get their hands on it at home. I'm very excited to show it off at the expo on Saturday, along with all of our other products, including Pico. And I'm very relieved that I don't have to keep this big secret anymore.
That's right. Thank you, Doc. If you are interested in buying a interface, for example, Digiface, the Digiface Dante from RME, I think would be a fantastic hardware companion for this. You can find that on Gotham Sound's website. More videos like this on gothamsound.tv. Please info@gothamsound.com if you have ideas for live streams. Thank you, Doc. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you at the Gotham Expo this Saturday.